The consortium delegation departed Earth's atmosphere in a display of deliberate precision, their massive ships forming a perfect geometric pattern that was as much a demonstration of technological superiority as it was a silent threat. Admiral Chen watched them go from the rooftop of the United Nations building, her expression unreadable as the alien vessels shrank to pinpoints of light against the evening sky. "That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the most foolish," said General Santos, joining her at the railing. "The Security Council is in chaos." Chen kept her eyes on the stars. "We were never going to accept their terms. Better to make our position clear from the beginning. They'll be back with warships instead of diplomats." "Yes." Chen finally turned to face him. "Which gives us exactly 3 years to prepare for a war unlike anything humanity has ever faced." Within 24 hours, the Admiral's prediction proved accurate. The United Earth Defense Council, previously a ceremonial body with minimal authority, received emergency powers from an unanimous vote of all member nations. Centuries-old rivalries and conflicts were set aside in the face of an existential threat that made human disagreements seem suddenly trivial. Dr. Eliza Okafor, previously heading a small research team at CERN, found herself appointed as Earth's scientific director, with a blank check budget and authority to requisition any resource needed. Military forces worldwide began joint training exercises. Underground facilities, originally built during the Cold War, were rapidly expanded and modernized. 2 weeks after the consortium's departure, Chen called the first meeting of what would become known as the Phoenix Project. Every advantage the consortium has, technological superiority, interstellar infrastructure, numerical forces, stems from their head start, she told the assembled leaders. They've had millennia to develop their technology and expand their reach. We have 3 years. Impossible, muttered the Russian defense minister. We cannot overcome such a gap. Dr. Okafor stood, activating a holographic display showing fragments of recovered alien technology. Actually, their advantage gives us an unexpected opportunity. Throughout human history, it's always been easier to adapt existing technology than to develop it from scratch. The consortium has inadvertently provided us with working models of advanced systems. We don't need to reinvent faster-than-light travel. We just need to understand and improve upon theirs. And humans have always excelled at taking others' inventions and making them better, added General Santos with a grim smile. Admiral Chen nodded. More importantly, the consortium has fundamentally misunderstood human psychology. They believe their ultimatum will intimidate us into submission. Instead, they've given us something much more dangerous, a common enemy and a deadline. The early months were difficult. Failed experiments, technical dead ends, resource shortages. But with each setback came new understanding. With each failure came adaptation. The scattered puzzle pieces of alien technology gradually began to form a coherent picture. 6 months after first contact, in a secured facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, a prototype quantum communicator successfully transmitted data faster than light. It was a small victory, but symbolic. For the first time, humanity possessed technology the consortium hadn't given them. They had taken it and made it their own. The clock was ticking. The consortium was coming. But humanity would be ready. The success of the quantum drive test changed everything. Within days, Dr. Okafor's team scaled up production, addressing stability issues and power requirements that had plagued earlier prototypes. What began as a single experimental unit grew into an assembly line manufacturing drives for the nascent Earth defense fleet. The principle is elegantly simple once you understand their perspective. Dr. Okafor explained to Admiral Chen as they toured the Antarctic facility. The consortium treats quantum uncertainty as a feature, not a bug. They don't force particles to be in one state or another. They embrace the superposition and use it to slip between the fabric of space-time. Chen studied the glowing blue core of a drive unit being lowered into a shuttle chassis. And we've improved on their design? Significantly. Okafor's eyes gleamed with pride. The consortium builds their technology to last centuries. Permanent, unchanging, perfect. But humans have always excelled at creating adaptable systems. Our drives can reconfigure on the fly, responding to local space-time conditions, rather than forcing a single approach. Meaning what, exactly? Meaning our ships are faster, more maneuverable, and harder to predict. Okafor gestured to a simulation showing combat projections. The consortium expects us to either have no quantum technology or to have copied theirs exactly. They won't be prepared for ships that can change their quantum signature mid-battle. Similar breakthroughs emerged worldwide. In Bangalore, engineers pioneered shield technology that could absorb and redirect energy attacks. Beneath the Gobi Desert, weapons researchers developed quantum-tipped missiles capable of bypassing conventional defenses. Orbiting Mars, the first space docks constructed ships that combined human ingenuity with alien principles. Not every project succeeded. The attempted development of artificial gravity resulted in catastrophic failures that claimed 17 lives. Neural interface systems proved too complex to reverse engineer in the limited time frame. But even these failures provided valuable data that informed other initiatives. 2 years into Earth's preparation, Admiral Chen convened the Defense Council to assess their readiness. "We've made remarkable progress," began the Chinese representative, "but our fleet numbers only 57 vessels. Intelligence suggests the consortium will return with hundreds." Quality over quantity countered the Brazilian admiral. "Our ships incorporate technologies they won't expect." Dr. Okafor stepped forward. "The key isn't matching them ship for ship. It's making them fight a type of war they're not prepared for." She activated a holographic display showing Saturn and its rings. Operation Ghost Protocol. "We hide our fleet here, masked by the electromagnetic interference. When the consortium arrives expecting a defenseless Earth, we strike from behind, targeting their command vessels and communication nodes." "A guerrilla war in space," mused General Santos, "fighting asymmetrically against a superior force. Humanity has a long history with that approach." Admiral Chen studied the plan, her expression thoughtful. "It's risky. If they detect our fleet before we're ready to engage—" "With respect, Admiral," interrupted a young lieutenant, "risk is all we have. The consortium expects us to either surrender or mount a conventional defense. Either way, they're prepared. Our only advantage is doing what they consider impossible or irrational." Chen's face broke into a rare smile. Impossible and irrational. Humanity's specialties. She approved the operation with a single nod. "Begin fleet deployment immediately. And double the production of quantum drives. I want every ship equipped with our latest version." As the Earth Defense Fleet began its secret journey to Saturn, humanity held its collective breath. The deadline approached. The hammer was about to fall. But this time, the anvil was ready. The first hours of the battle unfolded in a chaotic dance of light and destruction. Consortium vessels, caught off guard by the human ambush, scrambled to form defensive formations. Their commanders, trained in the rigid tactical doctrines of a civilization that had known few true challenges, struggled to adapt to the unpredictable attack patterns of Earth's fleet. Their regrouping, reported Captain Liang from the reconnaissance vessel Pathfinder. 3 main clusters, prioritizing protection of their command ships. Admiral Chen nodded, studying the holographic battle map aboard the EDS Humanity. Just as expected. Their military hierarchy can't function without centralized command. Target their communication relays with quantum disruptors. Across the battlefield, specialized human vessels launched precision strikes, sending pulses of energy that didn't damage the alien ships physically, but severed their quantum communication networks. Cut off from central command, individual consortium captains hesitated, their decision-making slowed by the unexpected autonomy. Multiple consortium vessels powering main weapons called out the tactical officer. Energy signatures indicate planet-killer-class armaments. A tense silence fell over the Humanity's bridge. These were the weapons the consortium had used to subjugate other civilizations, capable of rendering a world uninhabitable in hours. "Execute maneuver Hormet's nest," ordered Chen calmly. "All ships with functioning quantum drives, prepare for synchronized jump." What followed would later be studied in military academies across human space. 23 Earth vessels disappeared simultaneously, reappearing seconds later at precisely calculated positions surrounding the consortium battleships. Before the aliens could retarget, the human ships launched their payloads, not conventional weapons, but specialized electromagnetic pulses calibrated to the exact frequency of the planet killer's power systems. The massive weapons fell dormant, their charging sequences disrupted at the molecular level. It wasn't destruction. It was a surgeon's precise incision that neutralized the threat while preserving everything around it. "First phase successful," reported Commander Santos. "Consortium capital ships are combat ineffective." Chen's expression remained unchanged. And the cost? 7 vessels lost, 14 severely damaged. Each number represented lives, men and women who had volunteered knowing the odds. Chen allowed herself a moment of silent acknowledgement before focusing on the next phase. "Prepare for broadcast on all frequencies, including consortium emergency channels." The Admiral stood, straightening her uniform. When she spoke, her voice carried to every human vessel and every consortium ship in the solar system. "Attention consortium forces. You have witnessed a fraction of humanity's defensive capabilities. We have neutralized your primary weapons systems while intentionally sparing your vessels and crews. This restraint is not weakness, it is choice." She paused, letting the translation systems catch up. 3 years ago, you came to Earth offering subjugation disguised as protection. You returned expecting either surrender or a primitive defense. Instead, you found a species that refuses to be categorized by your limited understanding. The tactical display showed consortium vessels breaking formation, some retreating toward the outer system, while others maintained position. "We offer you the same choice we ourselves rejected, withdrawal or resistance. Choose the former, and your forces may leave our system unharmed. Choose the latter, and learn firsthand why humanity has survived every extinction-level event our world has presented." As her transmission ended, the human fleet regrouped into defensive positions around Earth. Now came the waiting, and the moment that would determine whether this would be a brief conflict or the beginning of a protracted war. The response, when it came, was not what anyone expected. The neutralized consortium destroyer drifted silently against the backdrop of Saturn's rings, its once menacing profile now darkened and powerless. Captain Patel watched from her damaged fighter as rescue shuttles approached the massive vessel. Confirming life support systems still functioning aboard the enemy ship, our systems officer reported. Estimated 300 crew members. Ensure medical teams are prepared for potential alien casualties, Patel ordered. Remember protocol. They are prisoners of war now, not targets. As the human boarding parties secured the consortium vessel, a more significant drama unfolded across the solar system. The remaining alien fleet, witnessing the unprecedented defeat of their advanced warships, broke into factions. Some captains maintained aggressive postures, redirecting weapons toward Earth. Others fell back to defensive formations. A third group, approximately 15 vessels, powered down weapons entirely, broadcasting surrender protocols. The Humanities Communications Officer turned to Admiral Chen with confusion evident in her expression. "Ma'am, we're receiving hundreds of transmissions from the consortium fleet. They're arguing with each other." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Put it on the main channel." The bridge filled with overlapping alien voices, their translation software struggling to keep pace with the heated exchanges. Accusations of incompetence, debates over tactical doctrine, challenges to command authority. The vaunted consortium unity was fracturing under the pressure of unexpected defeat. "Their command structure is collapsing," observed Dr. Okafor, who had joined the Admiral on the bridge to monitor the quantum disruption technology. They've never faced an adversary who could neutralize their technological advantage. The largest remaining consortium battleship suddenly accelerated toward Earth, its weapons charging. Before Chen could order countermeasures, 3 other alien vessels moved to intercept it, positioning themselves between the rogue ship and Earth. Federation vessels, stand down, came a new voice over the channel, speaking in flawless English. This conflict has exceeded authorized parameters. The Science Council is assuming direct control of all military operations. Chen exchanged glances with her senior officers. Science Council. "Ma'am," the intelligence officer reported, checking her databases, "according to the limited information we have on consortium governance, their Science Council typically maintains an advisory role only. Military decisions fall under the Defense Directorate." "Not anymore, apparently," Chen replied, watching as the aggressive consortium vessel was surrounded by its own allies. A new transmission arrived, directed specifically to the humanity. The holographic projector activated, revealing a consortium being different from those humanity had encountered before, smaller with mottled skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circular pattern. Admiral Helena Chen, the alien, began, "I am Coordinator Engstrava of the Consortium Science Council. What I am about to tell you violates several thousand years of consortium protocol, but circumstances require extraordinary measures." The alien's multiple eyes blinked in a sequential pattern, a sign of extreme stress, according to the translation software. "The attack on your world was not authorized by the full consortium. It was orchestrated by the Defense Directorate alone, against the recommendation of the Science Council, and without the knowledge of most member species." Murmurs spread across the bridge. Chen maintained her composure, though her knuckles whitened as she gripped the command console. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because," replied the alien scientist, "what has happened here has shattered more than just our fleet. It has broken the foundation of the consortium itself. And before the pieces are swept away, there are truths you must know about us, about your species, and about the real reason Earth was targeted for subjugation." Dr. Samuel Kin moved through the crowded marketplace on Nexus Prime, the consortium's central trading hub. His translator implant converted the cacophony of alien languages into comprehensible English, while subtle cosmetic modifications helped him blend with the mixed species crowd. To casual observers, he appeared to be a minor diplomatic functionary from one of the outer rim worlds. In reality, He carried humanity's most potent weapon, truth. Another data packet uploaded at access point 7. He subvocalized, his words transmitted to the other 11 members of his team scattered across the sprawling metropolis. Cultural archives showing Earth's artistic achievements accessing their educational networks now. Confirmation received came the response from Dr. Yusuf, positioned near the consortium's primary communication relay. Similar uploads completed at points 3, 5, and 12. Information distribution at 58% and climbing. For 17 days, Kim's team had infiltrated every level of consortium society, from working-class districts to academic institutions. They planted data crystals containing irrefutable evidence, recordings of the consortium's ultimatum to Earth, documentation of humanity's peaceful first contact attempts, examples of Earth's cultural and scientific achievements that contradicted the primitive savage narrative. Movement in the governing sector, reported Commander Lopez from her observation post near the council chambers. Multiple diplomatic shuttles arriving. The Arxony delegation has doubled its security presence. Kim checked his chronometer. Events were unfolding faster than anticipated. Continue with the distribution schedule. I'm heading to the university district for the final phase. The prestigious Central University of Nexus Prime served as the intellectual heart of the consortium. Its Stenanthropology department had authored most of the official documentation about humanity, reports filled with calculated misrepresentations and strategic omissions. Kim entered the grand lecture hall, taking a seat among a diverse audience gathered for a symposium on emerging threats in the galactic periphery. The speaker, a renowned consortium scientist, displayed holographic images of Earth. As you can see, the lecturer explained, the human homeworld shows all the classic indicators of a pre-integration civilization: resource depletion, climate instability, social fragmentation. Their resistance to consortium guidance is merely the expected reaction of a species unable to comprehend the benefits we offer. Kim activated the device concealed in his pocket. Throughout the lecture hall, the personal information displays used by audience members flickered. The lecturer's carefully selected images of Earth were replaced by real-time footage. The advanced arcologies of New Singapore, the atmospheric restoration projects in the Amazon, the orbital habitats where millions lived and worked in space. Murmurs of confusion spread through the audience. The lecturer faltered, suddenly aware that something was happening beyond his control. What you've been told about humanity is a fabrication, Kim announced, standing. His cosmetic disguise dissolved, revealing his human features. I am Dr. Samuel Kim of Earth, and I come not as an enemy, but as a witness. Security protocols activated immediately, but the damage was done. Hundreds of academics and influential citizens had seen undeniable evidence contradicting decades of propaganda. Within hours, similar scenes played out across 17 major consortium worlds. The revolution wasn't fought with weapons, but with information. Question by question, doubt by doubt, the consortium's narrative unraveled. Species that had unquestioningly accepted the Defense Directorate's portrayal of humanity now demanded explanations for the discrepancies. When the Arxeny, the oldest and most respected consortium species, formally requested access to all unredacted information about Earth, the power structure that had stood for millennia began to crumble. And aboard the captured human vessel that had smuggled them into consortium space, Kim's team received an unexpected transmission from Admiral Chen. Phase 2 authorized. Diplomatic channels opening. The consortium delegation sat in stunned silence after Admiral Chen's revelation about the human colony ships. The lead diplomat, a tall Vreechan with iridescent scales, finally broke the tension. "This expansion violates all established protocols," he insisted, mandibles clicking in agitation. "New species must demonstrate stability within their home system before being granted interstellar colonization rights." "Granted by whom?" Dr. O'Cuffer asked pointedly. "Your consortium didn't evolve with these rules. You created them to maintain control." Another delegate, a crystalline being who represented the Commerce Guild, leaned forward. "These colony vessels of yours, they carry weapons. They carry scientists, engineers, families," Chen replied. "And yes, defensive capabilities. We've learned the cost of unpreparedness." Murmurs spread through the alien delegation. The concept clearly disturbed them, not merely the expansion itself, but the implication that humans considered civilian settlement and military preparedness inherently connected. "Perhaps we're approaching this incorrectly," suggested an elderly Arksani, the quietest member of the delegation until now. "Admiral Chen, what precisely does humanity want from this interaction?" The question surprised Chen. It was the first time any consortium representative had asked about human desires rather than human compliance. "We want what every sentient species wants," she answered carefully. "Security, prosperity, the freedom to determine our own future, the opportunity to contribute to something larger than ourselves." "Yet you reject membership in the very organization that provides these things," countered the Vrikian. "We reject subjugation," Chen corrected. "The consortium arrived at Earth with terms, not invitation. You demanded resource quotas without offering fair trade. You restricted our development without sharing your knowledge. You threatened consequences for non-compliance rather than incentives for cooperation." Dr. Okafor activated a holographic display showing the proposed human colonies, 7 stars, each with habitable planets far from existing consortium settlements. "We've chosen uninhabited systems that don't encroach on any claimed territories," she explained. "We're not seeking confrontation, but we won't be confined to a single system when the galaxy has room for all of us." The Arksani studied the display thoughtfully. "Your species moves with remarkable urgency." "We live shorter lives than most consortium species," Chen replied. "A decade of delay might represent a minor inconvenience to you, but it's a significant portion of our lifespans." This simple truth seemed to resonate with the delegates in a way the previous discussions hadn't. The fundamental difference in temporal perspective between species that measured civilization in millennia and one that counted in centuries illuminated the core of their misunderstanding. "I propose a recess," the Arksani suggested. "My colleagues and I must consult with our respective governments regarding these developments." As the delegation withdrew to their vessel, Chen turned to Dr. Okafor with a questioning look. "They're afraid," Okafor observed quietly. "Not of our weapons, but of our speed. They've evolved in an environment where change occurs gradually, over generations. We represent unpredictability." "Good," Chen replied. "Unpredictability keeps adversaries off balance." "And potential allies interested," added Dr. Kim, joining them after observing the negotiations. The Arksani representative was genuinely curious about us. The Vrikians remain hostile, but 3 other delegates showed signs of shifting perspectives. Chen studied the departing consortium vessel through the viewport. "Then we continue as planned. Maintain transparent communication about our colonial operations. Increase cultural exchange initiatives with receptive species. And accelerate the Prometheus project." "The Council hasn't approved," Okafor began. "They will," Chen interrupted. "Because if the consortium returns with warships instead of diplomats, We'll need more than words to secure humanity's future among the stars. Director Sato led Ambassador Talaran through the colony's agricultural dome, where Earth crops grew alongside experimental hybrids adapted for Proxima Centauri's unique light spectrum. Scientists in environmental suits carefully tended rows of wheat, rice, and corn that would form the foundation of the colony's food independence. "Your people brought soil from Earth?" Talaran asked, noting the rich dark earth beneath the plants. "Some," Sato confirmed. "But most of this was synthesized on site using local materials. Our terraforming techniques have advanced considerably in recent years." The ambassador's compound eyes widened slightly, the equivalent of shocked disbelief in his species. Terraforming is typically a multi-generational project. The assembly's most efficient methods require at least 70 years to show meaningful results. Sato smiled. "We don't have 70 years to spare, Ambassador. Necessity has always driven human innovation. When something must be done quickly, we find a way." They continued to the colony's central hub, where a holographic display showed real-time updates from the other 6 human settlements. Alpha Centaur's agricultural output had already reached sustainability. Tau Ceti was developing specialized mining operations in its asteroid belt. Epsilon Eridani had established the first extrasolar manufacturing center. All of this in 3 years, Talaran observed quietly. "Some assembly members fear your expansion, but others see potential opportunity." "What do you see, Ambassador?" Sato asked directly. The alien considered the question carefully. "I see a species that refuses to be defined by others' expectations. It is both concerning and admirable." A notification appeared on Sato's comm unit. "Excuse me, Ambassador. It appears the quantum link has a message for you." Talaran's posture changed subtly. "For me?" "Through your communication network." "The Assembly refused our request to establish direct quantum links between your systems and ours," Sato explained. "So we created a relay system using our colonial network. Any Assembly world can now contact us, or each other, through our hub. The message is from your homeworld." The implications weren't lost on the ambassador. Humanity had created an independent communication infrastructure that bypassed the consortium's carefully controlled networks. More significantly, they had opened this network to former adversaries with no apparent concern for the strategic advantage they were surrendering. Talaran accepted the transmission, reading it with increasing interest. "The Assembly Council has voted on your proposal. 7 species have approved opening trade negotiations. 3 have abstained. Only the Vrex maintain their objection." "Progress," Sato noted with satisfaction. "And the Cultural Exchange Initiative?" "Approved unanimously," Talaran replied, surprise evident in his voice. "Even the Vrex voted in favor. They are particularly interested in your historical artistic achievements. Something called jazz music was specifically mentioned." Sato laughed. "Music has always crossed boundaries. We'll arrange a special transmission of Earth's musical heritage." As they completed their tour, they passed a construction site where the colony's first permanent university was taking shape. Children from the initial colonist families watched the fabrication robots with fascination, asking endless questions of the patient engineers. "One final observation, Director," Talaran said as they returned to the diplomatic quarter. "In my study of your history, humans often fought amongst themselves over resources and territory. Yet here, with an entire galaxy to explore, you seem unified in purpose." Sato considered this. Perhaps we needed the perspective that only the stars could provide. Or perhaps, she smiled, We simply needed a reminder that what unites us has always been greater than what divides us. As their ambassador departed for his vessel, a message arrived from Earth. The Prometheus project had reached its final testing phase. Director Seto's expression remained neutral, but inwardly she felt a surge of anticipation. Humanity's place among the stars was just beginning to take shape. The signing ceremony completed, the diplomatic reception that followed represented something unprecedented in galactic history. Representatives from species that had spent millennia in carefully maintained isolation now mingled freely, exchanging cultural insights and scientific theories without the consortium's traditional restrictions on information sharing. Admiral Chen, finding a quiet moment away from the main gathering, stood before the station's vast observation window. The view encompassed both Earth ships and assembly vessels, together forming an impromptu honor guard around Genesis Station. 10 years earlier, such proximity would have meant imminent conflict. Now it symbolized cautious cooperation. Dr. Okafor joined her, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. The Arcsani representative just asked me to explain human music theory. Apparently, they find our concept of harmony evolutionarily improbable, but aesthetically compelling. Chen accepted the offered glass with a smile. And what did you tell them? That harmony emerges from contrast, that different notes create something greater than their individual sounds when properly combined. Okafor glanced meaningfully at the diverse gathering, a concept that applies beyond music. Their conversation was interrupted by the station's announcement system. Attention all delegates. The Prometheus vessel has completed final approach and docking procedures. Demonstration will commence in 15 minutes. A ripple of excitement spread through the assembled dignitaries. For most, this would be their first glimpse of the mysterious project that had consumed significant human resources over the past 3 years. The central chamber of Genesis Station reconfigured itself, walls retracting to reveal a massive holographic projection space. As delegates found their places, Director Seto took the central platform. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice calm, but carrying undercurrents of justified pride. For millennia, interstellar civilization has been constrained by the limitations of existing quantum technology. Travel between systems requires days or weeks. Communication across multiple sectors experiences delays that hamper coordination and understanding. She activated the holographic display, showing a technical schematic of a device unlike anything the assembly had developed, a hybrid of human ingenuity and adapted alien principles. The Prometheus project represents a fundamental reimagining of quantum mechanics. Rather than forcing particles into predictable states, we've developed a method to harmonize their natural uncertainty, creating stable corridors through spacetime itself. Murmurs spread through the audience as the implications became clear. The Arcsani elder who had approached Chen earlier leaned forward, multiple eyes widening. "You've created stable wormholes, the ancient being observed. Our theorists declared such technology impossible millennia ago." "Impossible under your assumptions," Dr. Kin clarified from his position beside the display. Humanity approached the problem with different perspectives. Sometimes fresh eyes see what experienced ones have learned to overlook. The holographic display shifted to a live feed from the Prometheus vessel docked at the station. A small probe launched, disappearing into what appeared to be a shimmering disk of light. "The probe has entered the quantum corridor," Seto narrated. "Its destination is the human colony at Ta City, normally an 11-day journey at maximum quantum drive capacity." Seconds ticked by. The assembled delegates watched in fascination. Then, a communication signal arrived. Probe arrival confirmed at Ta City, announced the system. Transit time, 4.7 seconds. The chamber erupted in astonished conversations. Species that had travelled the stars for thousands of years suddenly faced a paradigm shift in their understanding of what was possible. Admiral Chen observed the reactions with quiet satisfaction. The Prometheus technology would transform interstellar civilization, not through military might, but by connecting worlds and species in ways previously unimaginable. "This is what we meant," she told the Arksani elder who had approached her in wonder. "When we said this was just the beginning."